Hey, Melissa.
Hi
I'm
there.
so excited to chat today and tell your crazy, amazing story of launching your interior design business. And I would just tell us who you are, how long you've had your business, what you do, and then I'm going to share with everybody what you're talking about today.
Okay. So I'm Melissa Mahoney, and I started Melissa Mahoney Design House just over a year ago, 13-ish months ago. And I had committed to the Blueprint model online before I decided to quit my 12-year-long career with the same design firm doing commercial interiors. And it had always been in my head that I'd love to do residential design for myself, but never ever felt like it was going to happen or would be something that I would just kind of take a leap of faith into. So enter Shanna and the Blueprint model. And 6 months prior to me leaving my job that I had been super comfortable with for a really long time, I took the Blueprint model course and started to feel like, oh my gosh, this could be something that I could launch into. So fast forward 2 years later, and here I am running my own design business residentially. I've got 13 active clients, which has been pretty consistent for the last 9 months.
That's a lot, right? In the interior world, that's a lot.
Way a lot. Yeah. For a one-woman show, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I would say, even a 2-woman show can handle that pretty well. It's a lot for sure.
And that happens really quickly, which is what we're talking about today.
Really quickly. So I talked to a lot of other designers and creative business owners, and it does make a difference, I feel like, or it did make a difference for me that I was born and raised in this area, in this general area outside of Chicago. And as soon as I put it out there that this was something that I was going to do, I mean, the phone just started ringing. So, and it really hasn't stopped since. People are willing to wait to kickstart projects. I'm pushing people off 3 months at this point, but have signed contracts for that. And so it's really been a whirlwind, to say the least, as far as the first year of business goes.
That's incredible. And we're going to dig. Everybody's like, tell me how. But I want to back up a little bit. You had a 12-year career. What made you start thinking, I want to go out on my own? What was the motivation for that?
So, I had always thought that it was something I could do probably. I felt like I was a good project manager. I felt like I could, manage my own projects, but business sense wise, it was not, my background at all to be financially savvy or know at all how to run a business. My dad was an entrepreneur my whole life, but he's not one to, jump in and help me. He wants me to save myself. As necessary, but I feel like I had that in my blood a little bit, to take a leap. And I also have 2 little kids who I, had gone down to part-time, but was still managing, like 7 building campuses, project-wise, with my firm. And so I wasn't really off 2 days a week. I was just like remote, I guess. So, so I wasn't, as much as my firm was super flexible with me, I wasn't as flexible in my time with my kids as I would have liked to be. So my husband and I had a conversation, pretty serious conversation, about what it would mean for me to shift gears. And so, 12 years, it took 6 months, literally from the time I finished Blueprint Model, 6 months, beyond that. It took me to set a date to tell my bosses. And I mean, that in itself was the biggest challenge up front because it was like a family. They were like second parents to me. So that was huge. I mean, conquering that goal and really, a week before my date I was going to get, since I was kind of part-time, and so I texted my husband quickly and I was like, they're calling me in for a salary review. I can't leave this for a week, have them tell me, sing my praises, tell me what my raise is, and then tell them I'm leaving a week later. So, had to jump. It just kind of forced me to make it happen. And so I talked to both of them, the main, my CEO and, marketing director who had brought me on 13 years prior really for my internship with the same firm. And we all were teary-eyed. I was crying. And they said I could for sure have a job back if this didn't work out, but they had full faith that it would. And so it was a good scene. I mean, they had threw a going away party for me, which was super nice. They were just solid people. So that itself was a great way to kickstart this whole scene.
Yeah. How do you feel like when you left, you gained so much momentum so quickly? I mean, you mentioned that you're in your home market, your, very warm market, as we called it, in financial planning. Those people know you, they trust you, but what else did you do to really kick it off so quickly? Did you let people know? Did you have a launch party? Like, what was the plan?
So I didn't have a launch party. I was kind of, people were trying to convince me to have a launch party. People offered up their showrooms, even in the merchandise mart, which I had relationships with commercial manufacturers, but I didn't have any residential relationships at all when I started out. And so I thought about it, but that wasn't really me. I don't love to be like center of attention, I guess, or just like I'm not a big party animal. So I felt like I needed to be a little more subdued about it. And it was funny because my first few clients actually came through my husband's contacts at work, because he started telling people, he was like excited to tell people that this is what I was doing. And the first few people he told, passed along the word, and all of a sudden they started getting calls from them. And so that was a great way to kind of just launch into things. And I actually started a few projects. My firm kept me on for a full month after I told them. And so I had a little bit of time to kind of kickstart into a few projects and get my footing a little bit before I was officially gone.
Yeah, I love that. And what I was so excited for you to share, because I don't think it gets shared a lot, is when you grow a lot faster. I think we all launch our businesses thinking, okay, I got to grind it out and I'm going to have to really struggle for this business. But for you, it really just came. And I know that you worked really hard. Sometimes I think it's hard to say it came easier than I expected. But I want to talk about even the challenges that come with it growing so quickly. What are some things that you've had to learn a lot faster than maybe you expected?
Yeah. So I guess when I left my firm, I thought I would have kind of like a 3-month period, and we actually financially prepared for me to have kind of a 3-month period of me not making a salary at all, because I knew I had these few clients. I think I had 3 clients that I kind of started out with, but I wasn't making what I had been making at my firm. And so we financially just kind of prepped ourselves that we'd be taking out of savings to support, our bills and everything we needed for those 3 months. And then as soon as I was official, calls started coming in kind of more rapidly, and it didn't become as much of a financial push. It became more of like oh my gosh, I've got to learn this side of the business. Like I didn't know any vendors. I didn't know any, I know how to shop retail, but that's not what this interiors, residential interior side of things necessarily is. So there was an insane, and has been, this entire year has been an insane learning curve. I've still got so much to learn about the business. But at the same time, I feel like my background of project management and even client relationships has really helped me significantly figure out how to make my way through this. So I know, I've always said that everything happens for a reason, but I feel like the path that I've taken, even between clients, like my first few clients were friends of friends or direct friends, and they've been super patient with me. And there's a reason why I started with them, because I needed that in order to get me through this first year. I needed people that totally understood where I was coming from and that this was new for me as much as it was for them, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I want you to talk about too, how we discussed a little bit before, you had to start investing in other people and help much more quickly. Would you just share some things that you've done to grow it? Like, did you do a website? Did you do branding? Did you hire? What help did you hire? And
for sure,
all this.
So for those first 3 months, and even before I left my job, I was trying to build a website on my own. I was frantically trying to get any type. I mean, so our house, we had done a renovation of our house, which was my only portfolio piece, still kind of is my only portfolio piece until I get professional photos of projects coming in. But, I took all the photos of our house. I had a professional photo shoot done of our house and our family and headshots. And it was through a family friend, did that for me before I quit my job. And I started getting them up on, like a Wix page and realized like very quickly, like I could build it, but I couldn't make it all functional, like the whole questionnaire scene, the whole, like, how do you get in touch with me without calling my cell phone?
Yeah.
That kind of thing was over my head. And so I realized within the first 3 months, like I had zero time to be like dedicating to that whole scene. And so I randomly on Instagram found a girl who was local, who was literally fairly new to her business, and was doing social media and marketing. And so I reached out to her right away and she gave me her fees and I was like, done. Let's get another photo shoot scheduled. We'll get different shots so I can continue to build my Instagram. And, that was huge bringing her on. And so after our first photo shoot together and after, and she built my website. So she ended up transitioning my website to Squarespace. She ended up taking additional photos that I could use for the website. The investment in her has been invaluable. And she actually has figured out a way to kind of serve me on a monthly basis that's not like astronomically priced, but we basically will meet one day a month to get my blog. She kind of helps me forecast my blog. I write the blog content, I format everything, and then she launches everything and gets it to Facebook, I get it to Instagram. And so we've got kind of a system going, and she's really, figured something out that really works for me, which is really nice. And now she's moved, so she's working remotely, and we've continued to figure that out. But I feel like that initial investment in her, I mean, I can't tell you how much it's been worth to my business. Yeah. And also made me more of a professional, even to our friends who were calling, made it a more legit scene that they were hiring me, and it was a consistent brand. I had gotten cards initially through Moo right off the bat, just so I had something to hand to people. But then she formatted all of that with a new logo and my branding and everything. And so now everything is just super consistent that other people are seeing. All of my photography is professional on Instagram. And so it's very consistent, which I think that brand building from the get-go is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, when you grow faster than you expect, I love how you had to probably hire out before you felt ready and get help for things, but you started realizing that this is something I wish I had done earlier and sooner. You're trading off your time that you get paid for, that income producing activity is you being a designer and trying to figure out how to design a website is not.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
I think just how did you feel freedom, or was it more just out of necessity to get help to free you up to do your job?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I would say probably 6 months in, I was connected with another consultant who happened to be kind of a CAD drawing guru and had just moved here from Denver. Again, like this serendipitous, a friend through Instagram connected me with her and just knew I was a one-woman show. And she's like, you need to reach out. And so I did that day as soon as this girl gave me her contact, and it's been perfection ever since. Like we have a call one day a week, we hand off stuff back and forth on a, consistent basis. And then, so she's like remote support to some degree, but super consistent. And so that, again, has been something that I didn't really expect to need because I have the capability of doing CAD drawings and I have the capability, but I don't have 5 hours at a time to be sitting and doing CAD drawings. And so that in itself has been huge.
Yeah. Now you can meet with clients during that time and get paid to do what you should be doing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. I think that's something like, this is such a great topic because I think we prepare for the drudge, maybe. I don't want to say that's a bad word, but like we prepare for the struggle,
Right.
and we don't prepare for maybe the abundance.
Right.
And you had to. And I think some key things for anybody listening is that you hired people that were also at a similar stage in business.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important because there's a lot more grace there to figure it out together. And also you're able to, you can get really great work at a lower price point just because they're figuring it out too. And I think that's such a gift when you're starting. And I just love, like, for you, you grew so quickly, and to share the other side of the story of hiring help earlier than you expect and learning as you can. And we could seriously talk for so long, but I want to wrap us up with, what would you say is the best thing that you have learned about money?
So I would say, I mean, we've kind of already said it, but I do feel like investing upfront, investing in your, educating yourself in things that you're just not super savvy about, as far as business, finances, anything that you're questioning, especially if you're launching something kind of out of nowhere. I mean, something without a background. It's not like I interned for a residential design firm ahead of time and had known the ins and outs of the business. Whatever you can invest in ahead of time, I think is huge. Whatever you can invest in the first 6 months, I think is huge. Because I feel like the more you invest in yourself, the more people are willing to invest in you. I wouldn't necessarily be getting these referrals. Right now I'm starting to just work with people that have never known me before, the referrals of referrals. And so, they wouldn't necessarily be hiring me right off the bat without a website that looks professional, or without a consistent brand that just looks, like it's established to some degree, even though I'm a year in, and I'm very honest with people that I've just been doing this for a year. But the more people I talk to, the more people say, but you really have been doing this for 14 years.
Yeah,
You've been doing this for a super long time. It's just that, like, you've shifted gears and things are a little different. So that in itself is also valuing myself as much as my clients value me is another huge financial item, because the more and more proposals I write, I still question things, but I definitely don't fear as much because I've got a full plate right now. And so when you're not as fearful as when you're writing your proposals, it's kind of amazing how many people just sign off, they're signing off because they understand your confidence.
Yeah.
And that is huge.
Yeah. That goes a very long way.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to maybe have to do this again because you have a lot of knowledge to share, but thank you so much for your time. And I just love your story of when abundance hits early and what to do. So thanks for sharing, Melissa.
Thank you so much.